Hello, this is Lucretia with the Calm and Confident You podcast. Today I'm going to talk with you about the defense mechanism called victim stance. This is important for you to know because you will be able to recognize the manipulation when it is happening and not get confused by it. Or, if you happen to use this defense mechanism, you will be able to see how it is ultimately not helping you, and you can choose to engage in constructive problem solving. Victim stance is a defense mechanism which puts others off balance and shifts the focus away from discussing a problem. How a person implements victim stance is by using a variety of manipulative maneuvers. One is sensitivity. The person is so sensitive that people don't want to bring anything up to them. They react by easily crying, having anxiety or a panic attack, quickly becoming angry, or any strong emotion, including turning to self-harm. I frequently see parents who don't set limits for fear of their child reacting by hurting themselves. So you can see that this sensitivity is a very powerful defense. As another example, a colleague of mine told me about a family session he did. This was several years ago. He had both parents, a child, and the grandmother who was living in the home with them. Now we all know that everyone who's living in the same home plays some part in the dynamics that are going on. So when they turned to talk to Grandma about her part, she immediately broke down crying, sobbing, so upset that they were picking on her. She was so hurt, so upset, and they could not calm her down. It resulted in him having to end the family session. So nobody was able to talk to Grandma about anything that she could do differently to be helpful. Another way of doing victim stance is accusing. The person reacts as if those doing the confronting are being mean or unfair. You're always mad at me. You only notice what I do wrong. You just want to punish me. You treat me worse than others. You're not fair. You don't love me. This is usually teens saying this to parents, or sometimes it's an adult saying it to their spouse or partner. Adults usually don't want to contribute to the low self-esteem in a child, and they don't want their partner to think that they don't love them. Another way is by disparaging themselves. The person puts him or herself down. I'm a bad person. I'm a screw-up. I never do anything right. I'm not good enough. I'm not as good as my brother or sister. I'm the problem child or the black sheep of the family. I don't belong. Now, this thinking style is a factor in depression and in low self-esteem. And depression and low self-esteem kind of feed this thinking style. But for right now, we are discussing the use of it as a version of victim stance, a defense mechanism. Another is bad luck or paranoia. Here the person says, nothing ever goes right for me. Life is out to get me. Everyone is against me. And this person presents as downtrodden and mistreated. Engaging in a victim stance serves several purposes, which are all about dismantling the discussion and problem-solving process. First, victim stance takes the focus off of the problem behavior and moves it to the person's emotional well-being. It is meant to cause others to be concerned about them. Second, victim stance gets others to back off from the confrontation. They back off because they don't want to be hurtful. Third, victim stance elicits sympathy and reassurance. What starts out as an attempt to talk about a problem turns into trying to reassure the person that they are good, they are liked, and not to feel bad about themselves. Fourth, victim stance works to delay consequences. If it is so upsetting just to bring up the problem for discussion, then that will be put off, and so will any expectations for righting the situation. Typically, you see that teens or adults who are getting into legal trouble or who are abusing drugs tend to employ the victim stance defense. It leads the people who care about them to feel helpless and ineffective. The result of victim stance is failure to address a problem. People are unable to constructively discuss the problem. There is inability to bring about behavior change. The person doesn't take responsibility, and nothing will change. So to summarize, victim stance is a defense mechanism which puts others off balance and shifts the focus away from discussing a problem. It serves the purpose of preventing discussion and problem solving and receiving any consequences. Ultimately, victim stance prevents meaningful, positive change. What can you do about it? First, identify the deflection. Note that those ideas, the victim's complaints, are for another discussion, not the current one. Tell the person, "I'm sorry you feel this way when we try to discuss a problem, but it can't be ignored." Let them know, "I do care, and my purpose is to improve the situation. I would like to discuss it and work together on a solution." But if the person continues the victim stance approach, then you must handle it the way you think is best. You let them know, "If we can't discuss it and work together, this is what I am going to do." Depending on the situation, that could be no longer talking about it, not providing resources such as your help or money, stepping back and letting the person experience the consequences of their choices and behavior, or separating yourself from the interaction or even the relationship. This involves having good boundaries and caring as much or more about how you are being affected as the concern you have for the other person. This week, see if you can identify anyone who currently is or who in the past has used the victim stance defense in order to get you to back off, and this has not allowed for healthy change to take place. Now that you can recognize the victim stance, how will you respond differently? If you are liking this podcast, subscribe to it on your favorite streaming service such as Spotify. Look up Calm and Confident You using the "and" symbol when you enter the title into search. Please share this podcast with others to help it grow a following, and until next time, be well.